Your Words Destroyed My Planet, the stream series. The edited version. Originally streamed live at twitch.tv/dualitiesdownfall. More information in the description. This is Chapter 8. You're at home, pacing frantically as you rack your think sponge for any favor you can call in here. You've helped people before, and you'd hope that if you really, really, really needed help, then people would help you in return, and saving the ass of your best friend in the whole universe is the best cause you can think of. You should have done something more before this. Clearly the breakup was too hard on him. He was driving himself to distraction with this Dave business. First the arcade, and now the funeral. You should have done something. Terezi won't tell you shit, and you know better than to threaten her given her job. Talking shit changes when the two of you aren't kids anymore. Threatening your friend if she doesn't tell you what happened to Solix is one thing. That's just an argument. But when Terezi is an officer of the law, that's a crime, and it won't help Solix if you're locked away too. Not that you think Terezi would really take it that far. She's still your friend. Going back to your hive seemed like the only sensible thing to do. You couldn't storm the captain's office or any law enforcement building without the risk of things seriously going bad. If you're home, then at least Solix would be able to find you if his palm husk had been confiscated or something. It was better than standing by the clearing funeral, at least. You've not been home for all that long when Gamzee saunters through the door, his formal tie undone and slung around the back of his neck and formal shirt sleeves unbuttoned and rolled up to his elbows. You round on Gamzee the moment he's through the door. "Gamzee, you have to help me! I don't know what to do!" You blurt out, your words almost a sob. Gamzee's eyes go wide as he takes in your blatant panic, and his arms reach out for you out of instinct. "Solix has been arrested! Terezi said she was taking him away to the captain. I don't know what to do!" You wail. "Oh. Yeah, I know." He nods and pulls you in close to him. "What do you mean you know? How do you know?" You demand, banging your fists on his chest. Hey, shoosh, calm down before you hurt yourself, yeah?" Gamzee says soothingly. He's not worried that you're going to do any damage to him despite you banging on his chest like that. "No! If you want me to not burst a blood vessel from stress, you'll tell me what you meant by you knowing, and you'll tell me now!" You yell. "The captain wanted him for the mission, since Vicari's dead now. It'd be like her to use his dumb mistakes to get him in," Gamzee tells you. "He's replacing a guy who just died? How is that safe?" You shout, but Gamzee just laughs and shakes his head. "No, he's not doing his regular job, like outside fixing things. He's taking his place on the mission with us. That's how I knew, 'cause Nepeta had us in there and we got told he'd be joining us." Gamzee laughs at you. You stare incredulously at him. There's no way he can mean what he just said. No way at all. "You're expecting me to believe that he's got a job as a sailor? When he already has a job? When he has the athleticism and strength of a reconstituted rolled-up fruit snack? That is what you're telling me?" You scoff. "Damn, just go for him. Now I want fruit roll-ups," Gamzee mumbles, looking around at your little nutrition area as if you might have a box secreted away for just this occasion. "Gamzee!" You snap. Sorry. I mean, I don't know if he'll be an official sailor and everything yet. No way he'll pass the test in that time, but he's getting training enough so we can take him with us and he can fix things on planet for us. Don't worry, I promise I won't do anything to him when he's out of your supervision," Gamzee swears. "Why would anyone agree to that? Why would the captain want that? And why would Solix ever say yes? There's no way he can do that. He's not just unathletic, but I'd have thought his psych history would exclude him," you say in disbelief and break away from Gamzee to start pacing again. "I mean, we all gotta go through evaluations before we go," Gamzee shrugs. "Yes, but this is Solix. I know he's been fine for a while, but he and Aradia only just broke up, and no one thinks that him agreeing to go on some insane mission that he's nowhere near ready for is alarming. If this is some stunt to try to get Aradia back," you start. "It's not that," Gamzee interrupts you. "Oh? Then what?" You challenge him. Gamzee sighs and sits on the back of your lounge plank, his feet on the seat cushions. He rests his forearms on his knees, and you're forced to stop under the weight of his stare. "You know what he did, don't you? Why Terezi hauled his ass up to our captain?" They're structured like questions, but the flat delivery of them makes it sound more like an accusation. "He was You falter, but that stare makes you go on. He was getting into some files about Vicari that he shouldn't have. Ones that could get him into serious trouble. It's not his fault. He was stressed and stupid about this breakup. He lives with Dave, and he was so close. He heard the guy die when Dave was out there trying to rescue him. He just needed closure. You know, that still makes it a crime, Gamzee points out. There's extenuating circumstances. Look, if I can just find out what's going on, then I can see what I can do for him. He shouldn't have to go off on some stupid, risky mission. Your work is dangerous, Gamzee. Solix isn't trained or ready for that kind of thing, and he could get killed, you insist. He won't be going if he can't pass, and that ain't up to me. You can't just dig him out of everything. When I get in people's faces, you get pissed, and you make a big deal about unruffling those feathers, but he breaks laws, and Gamzee complains, but you're not hearing it. Especially not because it sounds a little too much like Solix's insinuation the other day about how you use your influence as much as Cancri does, which isn't true. First of all, you're a giant high-blood. You know people find you intimidating, and I know it's not your fault, and you'd never hurt anyone, but I get annoyed when you keep aggravating people. Secondly, if you think I'm not livid at Solix for this stunt, you're dead fucking wrong, but it doesn't change that he's my best friend, and I have to fix this for him. You argue. You've no clue how you're gonna fix it, but you will. He was in his autopsy report, Gamzee insists. Oh, that's bad. You might be looking at serious punishment here. Hopefully, you can get Terezi to vouch for his character, and maybe his mental health history as well as recent events with Aradia could bargain him down to community service and not actual time on a prison ship. It's not like he murdered anyone, but getting into medical records is a felony sort of crime. But it's non-violent, and he heard Vicari die, so you stand a good chance of being able to get Solix into something far easier that doesn't involve shooting him at a planet. Cancri must know someone who can help, and you're more than willing to compromise yourself if it means helping Solix. There just has to be something you can do from here. Have you even tried talking to him? Gamzee asks with a sigh. Yes, I have, genius, but he's offline and hasn't messaged me back yet. But, oh shit, he's online now! You throw yourself onto the lounge plank to start hastily messaging your best friend. Well, you'd already been messaging him, but you keep going now, only he's still not responding. He's not answering, you say as you get up once more and pace the room. Do you think Terezi might be able to help more? I know I shouldn't message her and leave written evidence that could get her in trouble, but do you think I should find her later and talk to her about this? You ask Gamzee and start to bite your claws nervously. Gamzee's expression is flat and unimpressed. There's Cancri too, but I really want to know how bad this is before I do that, you add. The shadows around the room suddenly feel a little deeper, a little darker, and your pulse races even harder than it was. Gamzee draws a deep breath in, and when you look at him, he's letting it out in a calm and meditative exhale. Despite the clenched teeth you get a flash of as he does so, the room shifts back to normal. I'm going to get changed, Gamzee says simply and gets up. Guiltily, you stand there in the main room with your palm husk pressed to your chest. You know how Gamzee feels about Solix, and it's not as if the feeling is unwarranted. You still have feelings for Solix, and Gamzee knows it. He's said you can't help what you feel, and that you choose to be with him, and that's enough, but still. It can't be easy seeing you so wound up over Solix. Even if you're just friends with Solix, he still is your friend, and you'd help any of your friends if they were in a situation as dire as this. You know you're being honest about that. But Gamzee probably wouldn't be this aggravated if it was anyone else. Hey, I'm not in trouble now. I'm in Dave's custody. You should ask him about it. What? What the fuck does that mean? You go to chew him out and demand answers, but he's offline now. Unfortunately for Dave, he's online, so you immediately turn your ire and general frustration on him. Dave Strider, your new job description had better be supplying me right the fuck now with all the information I want, because apparently you have Solix in your custody, and if you don't tell me what's going on immediately, no one will be happy with this situation. Because Gimsey has been saying that he's going on some mission with you people to some planet, and both of us know that Solix has all the regular nutritional intake of a 4-year-old left unsupervised in a food court, and his bones are probably so brittle that you can snap him over your knee like a glow stick for roughly the same result. My point is that there's no way that can be true, because you'd be effectively sending my best friend to his death in the service of filling in for a job for a guy who just died, which doesn't give me great hope for his survival odds. So explain! Now!
If it wasn't for the fact that you speak Spanish, I'd be tempted to answer your questions in Spanish just to be contrary. Like, you come in here demanding answers but don't specify.
Dave, I'm serious!
Hi, serious, I'm Dave. Wait, hold up, I need to text my dad. I think he must have felt a disturbance in the force from me doing that. He's gonna be so proud of me. Okay.
Answers! Now!
I'm not telling you shit till you ask nicely. I'm a human being with feelings.
You're gonna feel my foot up your ass in a minute!
That's okay, I can wait. I mean, Solix's medical appointment is gonna take a while, so I can sit here until you play nice.
Medical appointment? I hate you so much.
Sorry, Jade has dibs.
I will remember this. Dave, please tell me what happened with Solix. I am very concerned.
Aw, he can be nice.
Dave!
Alright, so Solix got brought in for internet crimes, but really the captain just wanted to talk to him about the mission. She probably just wanted to spook him away from doing that again, and also float the job offer to him, which is 2 things at once, so Solix would approve. We really need his help, and I got accidentally put forward to train him up so he can pass the physical.
First of all, we both know Solix can't pass any kind of physical test, and second of all, do you mean that you said something dumb and got given Solix as a punishment?
First of all, that's rude, just slandering your boy like that, and yeah, he's not athletic, but people can learn that. Like, Gamzee passes a test despite looking like a clothes rack had a Juggalo nightmare transformation sequence.
Fuck off!
Secondly, your accusations are hurtful.
You did, didn't you? You opened your stupid mouth and someone with more power than you was like, oh, okay, then this is your job now, smartass.
I will neither confirm nor deny. But back on topic, Solix is fine, and I wouldn't put him through anything I didn't think he could do. And when we get to it, if I don't think he's going to be as safe as the rest of us down there, I won't let him go. Or, well, I'll tell Nep that he doesn't pass, and then she won't let him go.
What I'm hearing is that Nepeta dragged your ass back into line.
Yeah, it's something. I know what the chain of command is. It's the chain Nepeta beats me with till I understand who's in command here.
Are you referencing something? I feel a reference there.
You know I love old shows about space. Nothing better than people guessing what my job is like.
On the subject of your job, there's no way that Solix can do it. Or, if he can, certainly not in the time you have between now and the upcoming mission. I remember how long training took for Gamzee.
Well, yeah, I'm not giving him the works. I can't do that, but I can get him to a point where he can make the trip without keeling over dead, and so long as he's supervised all the time down there, he's gonna be fine. Not a certified sailor yet, but good enough for this mission at least.
I'm not sure you can even do that.
I'm getting whiplash these days from Solix accidentally telling me my job isn't hard, like I just work in some kind of courier service and it's no big deal, and you insisting that I can't possibly do my job well enough to teach someone the bare basics of it required to not die. Spin the roulette wheel of is Dave's job easy, hard, or is he just incompetent?
I didn't mean that. I'm just concerned.
Yeah, well, I have work to do.
Okay. Break that down into the positives and negatives. On the plus side, it seems like Solix isn't in legal trouble now, which also means you don't need to talk to Cancri or compromise Terezi's professional ethics. Or your professional ethics. On the negative side, Solix has taken a job that you're sure can't be safe, and you have no idea why he'd agree to go through all of that training when he routinely used to ditch out a gym with you in school. You'd never once seen Solix exercise for fun, or even just to get healthy, so the whole why of that is a big question mark, and that's negative as far as you're concerned. You're also reasonably sure that you actually hurt Dave's feelings there. It can be hard to tell with him since he tends to play things off or just be an asshole back in return, but it is possible to genuinely upset him, and you think you just did. By the sounds of it, it's like you were the straw that broke the hump beast's back, but even so, you're probably gonna have to apologize to him. Why would he do this? You need to find Gamzee and find out why. When you get inside your respite block, Gamzee has changed back into his usual clothes and is even hanging things up again, which all but demands a celebratory parade in your hive. Unfortunately, the parade has to wait because you need to talk to him. I've just been talking to Dave. He said he's training Solix on this job. I just don't understand why he'd agree. You say, more statement than question, but still.
The mission's important, Gamzee says as he slots his shirt into the wardrobe.
Oh, come on. That tells me why you'd go, not why Solix would care. You argue. Gamzee frowns a little. He rests his hand on top of your wardrobe and turns to face you, so he's kind of leaning on it. He looks down at you with an uncertain kind of expression on his painted face.
You don't think the mission's important? We have to make ships and get the stuff. You're saying you and Solix wouldn't care about that? Gamzee asks, and you get the feeling that this conversation is heading the same way that your one with Dave did.
No, I mean, of course it's important, but the ship's engine is important to keep us going, and I don't see Solix running down there to... You freeze, the words still stuck in your mouth. You'd just pick the engine, because without it the ship doesn't move, and you're all fucked. It's important work, but that doesn't mean anyone would rush to sign up to do it. If you'd been talking about anyone else, it wouldn't have been an unfortunate thing to say, but this is Solix, and it's an engine. Human civilization wasn't perfect. Earth was fucked up in its own ways, but a lot of those ways were different from Alternia. They don't have psionics, so when they met trolls, they had to compare their ship's engines, which, as far as you understand, essentially run on fucking up atoms for fun and profit, to the troll system, which was helmsman. You're entirely certain that had humans had psionics in their number, they would have had helmsmen too, but since they didn't, the whole species reacted with revulsion, and it was one of the things that the humans insisted on changing if the two species were to work together. Humans offered their tech in replacement in exchange for other technological help in return. There aren't any more helmsmen, not in the Alternian or human fleet. Pirates, on the other hand, well, it's hard getting hold of the things you need for a reactor, but far easier to capture a psionic to power your ship. Capture or control one. You are deeply glad that particular slip of the tongue happened in front of Gamzee and not Solix. Slowly, you lower your hand from your mouth, and when you speak, you're quiet again. You know what I meant. I just don't see Solix signing up for that willingly, you say.
The captain didn't make him do anything. She just explained the facts. Told him why we needed him, and he said yes. Then he got made Dave's problem, Gamzee says, and closes the wardrobe.
No way. He wouldn't do that. I know Solix, you insist.
So shouldn't I be the one asking you if you've got all the answers in your pan already? Gamzee asks.
You falter. You hold your palm husk to your chest and try to think clearly. I don't think he'd go just because we as a species need more ships and resources. I don't think he thinks that it's a stupid thing or anything. I just don't think he considers it his job. He's never been athletic or interested in space, adventure, or any of that. I can't see him jumping at a job in a rush for that, so it's something else then. Either something I don't know about, or it's Aradia. He could be doing this to prove something to her, but I don't know what, and there's no way that'd work. Either that, or he's gone off the deep end and is offering his unqualified ass up to a dangerous job in the hopes that it'll either give him a purpose or put him out of his misery, you say slowly. But he'd been accepting that things with Aradia were really over, and I can't see Dave being dumb enough to buy Solix pulling some grand gesture like it was a good idea. Dave would shoot that down. Nepeta would see it a mile off too, and if Solix was trying to hurt himself, then the same applies, and he'd be wasting everyone's time, because there's no way he'd pass the psych test if he was clearly being reckless. You go on.
Maybe it's something else, and you just don't know. Gamzee sighs and moves past you.
Holy shit, he's my best friend. I know him. Something isn't right here. You insist loudly.
Maybe you don't know him that well. I'm going out, Gamzee says, and the front door opens and shuts before you can do anything about it.
Maybe you don't know him that well. You know him better than anyone. This is Solix. But Dave's not stupid. Neither is the captain, or Nepeta. If nothing else is missing, then Solix is acting in ways that you can't predict or understand. Maybe you don't know him as well as you thought. Your mind goes to Solix and Aradia's breakup. How the two of them grew apart without realizing it until it was too late. Have you and Solix grown apart? The very thought is like a knife to your blood pusher. You don't want to lose him like that. You can't. But, shit, you've just been going on about Solix to Gamzee when you know how he hates the topic of Solix. You can't and won't end your friendship with Solix for him, but going on and on about how much you need to protect another guy when your Moirail is right there kind of makes you the bad guy in this situation. The two urges of going after Gamzee to apologize and trying to reach Solix over Trolli and vie for dominance, and in the end, you do neither. You make a kind of deal with yourself. You feel terrible for upsetting Gamzee, and you know you're pushing the limits of what any reasonable Moirail could be expected to tolerate. You continuing to contact Solix is unfair to Gamzee, especially as you've been assured that Solix is okay and there's nothing wrong by two different sources. So you won't contact him again tonight, but if he trolls you, then you'll talk to him. He doesn't troll you again that day. Gamzee doesn't come home until the small hours of the morning. You only wake up as he gets into the bed with you. Guilty and sad, with your defenses gone thanks to sleep, you just cling to him and drift off again. You dream about Solix. The dreams go along in the hazy, unfocused way that dreams tend to, and that there's more focus on specific details and a lot of the rest is vague. You dream about his hands. They're kind of delicate in their way, with long, thin fingers. He's never played an instrument, but you always thought he'd be well suited to the piano because June has the same kind of hands. You dream about his teeth. He has such a nice smile when he's sincere about it. When he was younger, he had braces because his teeth weren't even, and it bothered him. He was religious about doing everything the orthodontist said because the idea of his teeth being uneven bothered him so badly. Your wistful dreaming about Solix shifts at some point in the night to you dreaming about your ancestor. He never says anything, but he follows you just a half step behind you, never moving when you stop and look at him, but following you after that. You're not sure if he's copying your every move or if you're following him at one point. You walk over the ghost of a planet that you've never been to and no longer exists anymore anyway. In the morning, Gamzee getting up to shower jars you out of your bizarre dreams about Signless, and you reach for your palm husk to check the time. As you do, you see that Solix has trolled you about 5 minutes ago. Maybe the noise woke Gamzee. Oh god, I think I'm dying. I hurt in muscles I didn't know I had. Dave has broken me. I'm just gonna lie here, and if Dave wants me to go to the gym with him again, he can drag me there. What the hell happened? I need to pass this physical, so Dave put me through my paces yesterday, and oh god, why? Why did you even sign up for this? I have to. You don't, though. Other people do that job. People more prepared than you. Is someone making you? No, it's just... fuck, even typing hurts. I don't think they can run the mission without someone who can do my job, and it's a big loss if we have to leave this planet. Though, I don't know why the captain asked me. Me neither, although off the top of my head I can think of a few things that excludes a few other people who fit the bill. Like, why not Hal? Maybe because he's had surgery? I don't know. I'm surprised they're letting you do this at all. Thanks a lot. Okay, Dave is literally trying to drag me out of bed. Trying? I've retreated to the ceiling. Pretty sure he can jump, Solix. Yeah, you're gonna bet he just got cut off from Dave grabbing him down from the ceiling. You put your palm husk face down on your bed and just lay there on your side for a bit, the sound of the water from Gamzee's shower acting as a neutral background noise. You should get up and apologize to him about yesterday, and you should probably leave Solix alone too. If he's fine and doesn't need you, then you don't need to be chasing after him like you're his Lucis. His Lucis, or anything else that you aren't. With a sigh, you sit up and swing your legs over the side of the bed. You need to say sorry, and procrastinating won't get it done. The ablution block door is open, though you don't know why Gamzee left it that way. Not that there's anyone here but you, and seeing your Moirail naked isn't super unusual for you. Gamzee was hatched with a chronic lack of shame. It's kind of funny, actually. Not Gamzee's shamelessness, but rather your living situation. The humans have very defined ideas of how people should live. You have families, little groups of parents and children, although there is variance on that, and then, as adults, they either live alone or, if there's space, with hive mates if there isn't. Beyond that point, they typically eventually move in with a romantic partner, and the cycle starts again. Not all relationships go through that trajectory, and humans can be as non-conforming as trolls. But it is reasonably space-efficient to have people cohabitating either as family, friends, or romantically. Trolls, on the other hand, are a much more solitary species, territorial of their own space. At least, you all used to be that way. Having to shove your whole species onto spaceships meant that ships that used to carry a certain amount of people now had to carry more, and so the trolls started doing what humans did. They moved in with their quadrants, or if not that, then close friend groups where you could trust each other. A lot of trolls opt to live with their Moirail and see their other quadrants on a more of a dating basis. Really, the only time it's standard for trolls to live alone now is when they're kids and it's their Lucis looking after them, and even then, they try to get Lucii to parent a few kids if they can. In your case, you only had to live with Cancri for maybe 8 years or so before he graduated and moved out on his own. Other trolls you know were far closer to their ancestors, like Porim and Kanaya, who are only 3 years apart. So, yeah, maybe it would have been weird to see your Moirail naked back before Alternia was destroyed, but now that you live together and sleep in the same bed, it just sort of happens. Movement attracts your attention, and you look up to see Gamzee getting out of the shower. He blindly reaches for a towel and then presses it to his face. He breathes in deep as he scrubs at his hair, and the movement stretches his ribcage and bends the stars inked onto his skin. It's solid blackwork across half his chest, but when you get closer, you can see tiny white stars here and there, and a small shuttle in the dark with a little round window in it. He has told you before that the stars glow under blacklight. You prefer this tattoo to the one on his forearm. In that one, a clown is leaning with his elbows on a table. He faces you, and with one hand he's pulled off his face like a mask, and behind it is the same black ink with the tiny specks of stars. That one unsettles you a little if you look at it too much. His other arm has his sign inked on it in solid black. Not that it's his. Or, you suppose it is technically, since he has the same sign as his ancestor and his ancestor, but it's meant to be Kurlos' sign. It was the first one he got as soon as he was legal to get tattoos. You held his hand when he got it. You don't think it hurt so much physically, but a memorial tattoo is probably more painful for far more emotional reasons. In the time you've been zoning out, you realize that Gamzee has taken the towel away from his head to start drying the rest of him, and realize that you're standing there.
You awake in there?
He asks, his voice a deep rumble. Sorry, I spaced out, you explain.
Aren't we all, man? Gamzee says with a gesture around you.
Yeah, I suppose. I need to apologize for yesterday. I was worried about Solix, but I didn't think about how that came off, and I didn't mean to just trample all over your feelings like some tactless fucking buffoon. You're so good with me, and I know I don't make it easy sometimes, especially with him, and I know lots of people wouldn't even let me talk to him, and if that's if these theoretical people would even agree to date me with all my stupid conditions anyway, and you're so good, and you flail helplessly as you try to explain yourself.
Breathe, Gamzee suggests as he rubs his arms down with the towel.
You draw in a deep breath and let it out. Try again. I'm really sorry. It was tactless and stupid of me, and I don't like fighting with you. You apologize, and your arms flop down at your sides uselessly. All the fight has burnt right out of you.
We didn't fight, Gamzee points out.
No, you left, and then I followed you to be a complete asshole at you some more, and then you left the hive instead of fighting with me, because evidently you've got more self-awareness and self-control than I do these days. you say, with a wide streak of spite towards your past self, and maybe your present self, too.
Can't say it makes me super happy when you get like that, but I know what you're about. Always have. Apologizing for who you are is stupid.
Gamzee says, and opens the mirrored cabinet on the wall and takes out his face paint and the brushes that go with it. Gamzee, those are filthy. Let me... Hold on, I washed some for you the other day. Give me those. You huff and take the brushes from his hands and scuttle out to one of the hallway cupboards and pull a clean batch of brushes out from where they'd been drying flat on a shelf in the cupboard with the towels and other things that you'd carefully stored away. Here, you say quietly and offer the brushes to him. Gamzee pauses and then smiles at them, then you. It's a slow expression, a soft and warm smile. He leans down and kisses one of your stupid, nummy little horns and takes the clean brushes from you. He doesn't say that you're forgiven, or even that he was upset before, but as Gamzee gets to painting his face, you know that it's okay now. You set the dirty brushes aside to wash later and go get ready for work yourself. You only check your palm husk when you're about to leave, and Gamzee is already gone, but Solix hasn't trolled you back. Maybe you're just growing apart. At work, you have to deal with a lot of paperwork and then 2 meetings mediating between people who don't want to come to a compromise but have to. You shoot a few emails back and forth with Rose about a potential shared case. A guy with mental health problems is having a rough patch, and you need to get ready to put forward the right information about him getting sick leave to deal with that, which is hard given his position in the engine room. Nuclear physicists aren't exactly commonplace, so trying to cover for an extended absence is hard, but you'll get it done. You're partway through comparing schedules with a half-drafted email up when your office door opens. You look up, ready to yell at whoever is disturbing your concentration, only it's Solix. He walks into your office and drops a recycled paper bag on your desk and then stiffly sits down with a wheeze of pain. If Dave asks you if you've seen me, you haven't, Solix says quickly. What? You ask, completely thrown. I spent all morning having this stupid goddamn psych exam to prove that I'm not crazy for doing this, and this afternoon Dave wants to torture me to death. Solix groans. What did the doc terrorist say? You ask, your eyebrows creeping up your head in surprise. Wow, fuck you. I tell you Dave is going to torture me to death, and you're all, oh cool, what did you do this morning though? Seriously? Solix demands. Yeah, you say flatly. Solix glares at you. You are unaffected. Still bipolar, obviously, but other than that, I'm totally mentally healthy. Solix shrugs and psionically floats a sub out of the bag. Seriously? Did you tell him about Aradia? You ask incredulously. Get fucked, Solix says loudly through a mouthful of sub. I'm serious, you insist. Solix rolls his eyes and makes a long, suffering noise of irritation. After that, he floats his drink out of the bag and takes an obnoxiously long sip before answering you. Yes, I told him about that. I'm within the normal range of sad about breakup, and actually wanting to do a new thing is a good sign, especially as I'm not doing it to be around her. I don't think I'll even be working anywhere near her, since she's rocks, and I'm gonna be fixing things that aren't working right in their job of doing stuff to rocks. I don't know, I'm not a geologist or an archaeologist, so I'm cleared to do the mission thing. Solix explains. You make an uncertain face and reach into the bag to get your own lunch, because it's clear that Solix brought food for you too. Still not gonna ask about the torturing me to death thing? He prompts you. By torturing to death, do you mean that he's making you work out? You ask him as blandly as possible. I hurt in places I didn't know I could hurt. I don't know how many tiny little muscles I had until today, little support ones like here, Solix says, and points to the places between his ribs and then several other different muscles as well. Are we talking injured here or just sore? You ask uncertainly. I'm talking tortured to death. I told Dave today about all these little ones hurting so bad, and he was like, great, it means I'm doing it properly and engaging my core, or whatever that means, and then he forced me to do sit-ups until I begged for my Lucis to save me. Hal took pictures, Solix whines. I can believe that. Never trust a strider with a camera, or without one, you say thoughtfully. Everything hurts, Solix whimpers and slides a little lower in his seat. You take another bite of your lunch and try to swallow the feeling that's been lingering the whole time, but it doesn't go down as easy as your sandwich. And, Solix says to his food instead of to you. I wanted to say sorry. For yesterday, I mean.
What?
You blurt out without thinking. Well, I dragged you to the funeral like that, and then Terezi said you were pretty panicked when she took me away and I was MIA for ages, and I only sent you a few messages, and Dave said you were really worried. Yesterday was a lot, and after Dave torturing me to death, I kind of just came home, ate a crazy amount of pizza, and passed right out. I know you. You were probably panicking, and I didn't make that easier, Solix says, still to his lunch. So, sorry, he says with a shrug and then a wince. You stare at him, a little speechless. Are we still friends? Solix asks, actually looking around at you with concern on his face this time. Of course we are, always, you say without needing to think, and a guilty part at the back of your mind would rather not think about this at all. Good, Solix nods and goes back to his lunch. You pick a slice of onion off your desk from where it's fallen from your lunch and eat it. Your mind wanders as you do so, possibly to distract you from the fact that you're just eating a slice of raw onion by itself. I'm kind of glad that the psychiatrist gave you the all clear. Well, not kind of, I am. I have to admit that after the Aradia thing and the sudden fascination with what Dave's doing, I was worried you weren't handling things well, you admit. I want to be mad, but yeah, that's fair. Solix sighs and takes his frustrations out on his sandwich by biting off a huge chunk of it. Well, I'm glad that you stopped thinking there's some big Dave conspiracy as well as with Gamzee Aradia and that other guy, Fazer. You feel a little bad for forgetting his name there. You're good with names. Solix bolts upright in his seat and turns on you, waving his sandwich at you as he struggles to swallow the stupid amount of food he bit off. No! Solix finally gasps. He's absolutely still involved in something, and I'm going to find out what it is. I got answers yesterday, but to questions I wasn't even asking, and about entirely unrelated things, I think. Okay, tangentially related, but there's still mystery, and I need to know. You smack your head on your desk and groan in agony. Signless didn't die horribly for the most minute trace of his DNA to reoccur in me and my ancestor, just for you to come into my office and subject me to this. Gamzee's whole religion is fucking wrong. No deity would allow this to happen. You wail into your furniture. Shut up. Also, I called Dave on being a liar, and his response was only more infuriating, but he's stuck with me now, and I'll figure this out. Assuming he doesn't torture me to death first with training, which he might. If I die, you have to flip everyone off at my funeral and make sure Terezi prosecutes Dave for killing me. Solix insists, uncaring about the amount of agony you're in. I hate talking to you. Why do I ever do it? I hate me for talking to you. You complain as you lift your head off your desk just so you can glare at him. Talking to me is the best thing that ever happens to you, Solix retorts. You consider that for a moment, then stand up and lean over your desk so you can poke him in the stomach, causing him to wail in agony and nearly fall off the chair trying to get away from you, and flips you off with both hands as he leaves. Yeah, he hasn't changed. You feel a little lighter for Solix's unprompted visit and free lunch, a little less like you're losing your oldest friendship. On the topic of maintaining friendships, you figure that you have another that could use some work. Dave?
Carcat?
I owe you an apology for yesterday.
Oh. I wasn't expecting that. I thought this was some weird, vaguely threatening bit you were doing.
No, look, sometimes I'm an asshole, and I realize that, and I was an asshole yesterday, and I owe you an apology, so I'm sorry. I didn't mean to imply that you were professionally incompetent, or that your job is less than in any way, or that you were conspiring to get my best friend killed because your job is also impossibly dangerous. I was panicked and stupid.
Man, you really don't have to make such a big deal out of everything.
No, I do. You're my friend, and I don't want you thinking that I genuinely think that stuff.
It's fine. Really, it is. And I'm not gonna get your boy killed. Nepeta's made it real clear that I have to train him to pass the physical, and then when he's on planet with me, he's my responsibility, so that'll be fun.
Okay, but you being in close proximity to Solix for long stretches of time, does that make his odds of survival go up or down? Are you gonna strangle him on some alien world?
Well, I live with him and I've not tried to strangle him yet. He's actually fine to live with, to be honest. I take less psychic damage than I do living with Rose. He doesn't interrogate my mental well-being and make notes on my answers. But you know how it is. 2 guys on a celestial body and there are rocks there. Things get crazy. I mean, would that be fucked up or what?
What?
Never mind. Anyway, Solix is cool and I like living with him.
Oh, you're welcome then, I guess. I hesitate to say bad things about Rose because I'm somehow convinced that she'll know.
Let's not rule it out.
In a final effort of making peace, I want to tell you that Solix just had lunch with me, and after I jabbed him in the stomach for mocking me, he told me I was going to you, so you can torture him to death.
Oh, cool, because he was supposed to be here like 20 minutes ago. I would make him run out of spite, but if he's just eaten, I think I'll wait.
Have fun with that. Try not to break him irreparably.
No, I'm gonna break him in small increments so he improves, and then break him more until he can pass the test. If I break him the once completely, I ruin the whole thing. You gotta have a long game, Carcat.
I'm very glad I'm behind a desk now, thanks.
Oh, speak of the nerd, and he appears. Gotta go break him now. Shade's smiley face.
You don't even wear sunglasses anymore. That doesn't work.
I said... Shade smiley face. I don't know how to vocalize that. Wait, no. Evil shade smiley face. Which I still don't know how to vocalize.
Seeing Solix has eased some of the worry that was building in your chest and weighing you down. With your pump biscuit feeling far lighter, you return to your work, helping people with their problems and settling disputes. You get into such a groove with your work that it's several hours before a knock on your door jolts you back into the present. A familiar head peeks around the door, a teal lady who's a decent number of years older than you. You helped her a while back with getting accommodations for her job as she slowly returned to work after pretty major surgery. You smile at her, and her name immediately pops into your head. Triana, how are you? You ask. I'm fine, thank you. I was hoping you might be able to help someone out for me, Triana says and steps into your office, showing the gruff-looking bronze-blooded man behind her whose hulking bulk is taking up your whole doorway. I'll try. What's going on? You ask. Sweetheart, come on. Carcat listens. I'm telling you, he'll help. Triana urges the man gently. I doubt it, but fine. The man mumbles and walks into your office. Triana closes the door after him and then sits down primly in a seat next to him. Carcat, this is my mate spirit, Manoti. He's been having problems getting through to people lately, and he was telling me all about it, and I know that if anyone can help, it's you. Triana says, her voice soft and understanding as always. You're making it sound like I'm breaking down crying at work. That's not it, Manoti huffs. Well, how about you tell me what the problem is yourself then? You suggest, and start to type his first name into your desktop. Manoti scrubs at the back of his head with a large hand and sighs. You know about the guy who died, right? Vicari? Manoti asks. Yeah, of course. I didn't know him personally, but my Moirel's a heavy sailor, so he knew him. If it's grief counseling you're looking for, I know some very good people, you say. No, it's not that. Well, no. Look, I run PPEE. It's my department, Manoti says. That's personal protective engineering equipment. They deal with respirators, gloves, spacesuits, anything a person wears that protects them, Triana explains for you quickly. You nod and pull his file up on your system. He's in charge of a good number of people, and it's not a private firm. This is core ship work, the same as yours is. All right, go on, you prompt him. Supposedly, the guy died because his helmet came off. That's a big fucking problem. They're not meant to do that outside. It's kind of the whole point. Yet everyone's getting told it was some error on our part, but there's been no investigation. No one's come to talk to us. There was nothing. I've not even seen his suit, and with any sailor or anyone who's out there for more than a little bit, they get a custom suit to stop things like this happening. I've not seen Vicari's suit since he died, Manoti tells you. Is that unusual? I know deaths like this aren't common. From what I heard, it's being treated like a freak accident, but if someone died or was hurt with your gear, would you get it back? You ask him thoughtfully. Yeah, we would. If there's a problem with the suits, a weakness or a flaw, I need to know. I need to know if it was just one part that slipped inspection and either find who inspected it and messed up or put a new check in place for those inspections so this doesn't happen again. If it was a bad batch of some tech, I need to know what else those parts are in. Is it every other suit out there a ticking time bomb or not? Minody shouts, his gestures wide and angry. That's concerning. What have you done so far? Where are we at here? You ask, and Minody stares at you. Everyone else I've talked to just says it's fine and that these things happen, that I should let it go. You're not going to... Minody trails off and glances at his mate spread, who's wearing a look that very clearly conveys, I told you so. Are you kidding me? No. Let's say it is all fine and someone's worked out that whatever happened doesn't involve your department. Not being allowed to see that for yourself is a huge mental burden to put on you for zero fucking reason. You're right. If it was your department's responsibility, then you need to know, and if it wasn't, you need the weight of a man's death off your mind. My guess would be that someone in the chain of investigating the death just forgot to cross a T somewhere and you just didn't get notified, and now they're acting like you have been and you're badgering about a closed case. It's dumb, but it happens, you assure him. Minody nods a little numbly for a moment, and when he speaks next, his voice is quieter. I tried talking to our HR person, Galir, but he said it was a matter of for internal investigations, not him, and he couldn't get access, but if there was a problem, I'd know, so, get lost. I tried talking to external maintenance, the people who were responsible for the work Vicari was doing, but they said all his stuff went with the emergency department. I talked to them, and they said they can't tell me where his stuff is because I'm not next of kin, privacy laws and whatever, but that likely law enforcement dealt with it. I tried talking to law enforcement, but because it's not my property, they won't help me. Minody says, sounding hopeless. You think for a few moments, trying to work out your best move here. Okay, up front, I'll say that Galir probably was right in the sense that no news is good news. My guess would be that someone has already looked at the suit and worked out that it was something that has nothing to do with you. But I'm gonna look into this for you because if I was in your shoes, that'd drive me shit-hive maggots not knowing. I know a few people in related departments that might help me out with this. I've got some friendly faces here and there, and I think if I spend a few hours on this, I can dislodge whatever information was supposed to go to you and didn't. You tell him. You're going to look into it? Minody asks in surprise. You wonder how stonewall he'd spent up until now, or how heavily this has been weighing on him. Absolutely! No matter what happens, I'll keep you updated on what I find. You nod. Thank you. I really appreciate it, Minody says quietly. Thank you so much, Karkat, Triana says with a smile. It's my job, don't worry. Is everything alright with your work now too, Triana? You check. Everything's fine. Thank you for asking. If you don't need anything else from us, we'll get out of your hair, she says and stands. I've got everything I need for now. You tell them both. The pair thank you gratefully, and Minody has that look like he's still amazed that you listened to him. It always hurts when you see that. Even if everything was fine and he was worrying over absolutely nothing, it costs you $0 goddamn to listen to another person and take their concerns seriously. You look at your now shut office door as you consider your next move carefully. You pick your desk phone up and dial a familiar number without having to double check it. Pyrope! Terezi's voice grates down the line and into your ear duct. Terezi, I have a question, but I think I already know what you're going to say to me, but just on the off chance that you can be really helpful, I have to ask. You say. Okay. What's the answer you think I'm going to give? She asks. I think you're going to say, Karkat, I'm criminal law, you clearly need internal investigations who definitely won't talk to you. That's what I think you're going to say. You answer her and lean back in your chair a little. That does sound like something I'd say. What's the question? Terezi asks in that hissing little laugh that she does. You know Vicari, the dead guy? I think something went sideways with the investigation into his death. I've just had a guy up here from PPEE, the guys who make the suits, and since his death is being treated as some failure of that, they want to know what they did wrong, but, so they don't kill more people. But he's not heard anything, and whenever he tries to reach out to find out or to get the suit back, he gets stonewalled. Can you help? You ask hopefully. Karkat, I'm criminal law. You clearly need internal investigations who definitely won't talk to you. Everyone is really touchy about that case, so I'd suggest you drop it, Terezi advises you. That makes you pause. Why are people more touchy about his death than usual? Is something off about it? You ask her slowly. I didn't say that, Terezi tells you firmly. Terezi, a man died. My Moirail and several of our friends are going out soon in these same suits. If there's something wrong with them, you start. If there was something to know, then it would have been filtered down to the people who need to know. If your person doesn't know, then there you go, she says. Need to know basis, you guess. Right, Terezi confirms. So, did you need to know, or do you just know that you can't know, and they definitely won't let me know? You ask her after a moment's pause, and you're very grateful that you're out of cane-drubbing distance for the moment. I know that it's not a criminal matter. I have actual work to do, Karkat, Terezi says bluntly and hangs up on you. Ooh, she doesn't know, and she's annoyed about that. Interesting. You've definitely massively upped your chances of being smacked by a cane out of nowhere when you didn't know she was nearby. Still, it seems worth it. For the sake of it, you call up internal investigations and get stonewalled just as you thought you would. HR gives you a lot of reach, but classified is still classified unless you have very good reason to find out. Internal investigations hasn't done anything provably wrong that Minori could register a complaint about, and you need that kind of complaint to get any serious teeth to sink into internal investigations. They just blandly suggest that you come back if and when you have cause to look through their records, but assure you they've done everything properly, and no, they won't check for you. So, no help from Terezi, no help from internal investigations. You could try the emergency services, but patient confidentiality will just slap you in the face and you'll get nowhere with that. You need inside information, and you have an idea about where to get it. The engineering section of the ship is pretty varied, given that it maintains and repairs this ship as well as builds others bit by bit to assemble externally. But there's core operations like that, but also private companies who deal with more niche research or bid for the work to do specific things for the ship without being internally owned. You're headed for one such workshop. Strider Enterprises started out as a two-person company. Well, no, technically it started out with Hal working there too, but seemingly you can't have all three of the triplets together without someone trying to maim someone else with a wrench. As far as you know, Hal still does some software work for them on the side, but the business is primarily run by Roxy and Dirk now. What started out as that little operation has grown crazy fast and the sole provider of robotic tech to the ship's external operations and employs about 30 people now. You consider it a personal merit that you've never had to come here for a complaint, which, given that you know Dirk, is somewhat surprising. Strider Enterprises is abuzz with activity as you walk through the doors. You can see Dirk on the upper level, so you go up there. The robot he's standing by is technically a little smaller than him, but far wider and bulkier. Roxy has a cable jammed into it and seems to be in the middle of a heated discussion with her brother.
No, I'm not saying you can't do it in the sense that I doubt your abilities. I'm just saying that no one is going to let you set off an EMP in the middle of Karkat. Dirk cuts himself off as he sees you coming.
Set what off in Karkat? Oh, hi, Karkat.
Roxy looks around in the machine at you.
I definitely didn't hear whatever you were just saying, since it's very loud in here,
you state flatly. Oh, good. What's with the visit? Dirk asks.
Hi, Karkat. It's so nice to see you. What brings you here? Roxy asks louder, like it'll mean you didn't hear Dirk. I need some information from people technical enough to know what I'm looking for, you explain.
We're kind of busy preparing for the upcoming mission. We don't really have time for chit-chat, Dirk says bluntly.
Yeah, except if I can't find out the answer to this, I'm not sure how safe the upcoming mission is, you say, and that sure as hell gets their attention. What's wrong exactly? Roxy asks, and wheels over to you on the small rolling chair that she sat on. You guess it was more comfortable than leaning all the way over to work. You know the guy who died, Vicari? You ask, and both of them wince. Not personally, no, but we were both there when Dave hauled ass out to try to save him. What about him? Roxy asks. Supposedly something to do with his suit killed him. Can you tell me anything about that? Have you seen his suit? You ask hopefully.
No, that's not the kind of tech we do. You're looking for the PPEE department. You should talk to the guy in charge there. Monodi, I think? They do suits and dermal tech that interfaces with sailors, as well as masks and other protective stuff like this. If anyone got the suit, it'd be his department, Dirk says, and pulls his gloves out of his belt to demonstrate.
Yeah, I'm asking because he's not heard anything, but supposedly it was his department's problem.
You explain.
That's weird, Roxy says slowly. Yeah, and everyone he tries to talk to shuts him out. I've had about as much luck. I don't know enough about the suits to know what I'm looking for here. You tell them both.
I've been wondering about that, actually. The way the suits are designed, the helmet, boots, and gloves of the suit lock together like a twist and lock system, but that system is supposed to jam shut the moment you pass the airlock, so you can't just hit something and accidentally remove something. Even if it was a suicide attempt, it shouldn't have been possible for him to actually make it a successful one, Dirk says.
But I don't think people said it was suicide, though, right? Though an error in the air filtration could have given him carbon monoxide poisoning and given him delusions that made him take the helmet off,
Roxy points out. An air problem and the suit not locking? Occam's razor. That takes two things to go wrong at the same time. Dirk counters her.
Maybe that's why it's a freak accident, but if there's a problem with whatever tells the helmets they can't come off, or with the air filtration, and Monodi can't check all the other suits, including Dave's, then we've got a problem here, you say. But if it's not a freak accident, then it means he bypassed the suit's locking mechanism himself, or someone else did. It'd be simpler, but it's definitely worse, Roxy says gravely. Terezi said it wasn't a criminal case, though, but I also got the feeling that she wasn't involved, you say thoughtfully. You think they're covering up for someone? Roxy asks.
It's some kind of cover-up. Listen, I didn't know the guy, but I do know he was big into becoming a sailor. There's a bar down the way called the Wild Rover. It tends to get a mix of engineers from nearby and sailor types. I bet you that if someone there will know Vicari, or at least, hopefully, they'd know him enough to know if he deliberately tampered with his own equipment or if someone else did, Dirk suggests.
But if someone else did it, then why would Vicari try to take the helmet off at all? Roxy challenges him, but Dirk just shrugs. I'll go see if anyone will talk to me. Do you know what usually happens to suits after they've been decommissioned? You ask. I'd assume that the things that can be reused would be recycled, but I guess it'd be specialist work. Isn't that, oh god, her name's gone. Kanaya's older sister. Dan's sister. Roxy snaps her fingers as she tries to call the word to mind. Purim, yeah, that might be her line of work. I know she makes the custom suits, or the fabric part anyway. Okay, thanks. I'll go to that bar now. I appreciate the help. You nod. Good luck. Here's hoping it's not a horrible murder cover-up or anything, Dirk says with a wave. You shake your head and walk off, just catching Roxy bringing up using an EMP again. You walk a little faster, so you don't hear anything dangerous at all. You find the Wild Rover easy enough. Dirk gestured to the direction pretty clearly, and it's not like there's an awful lot of social spaces down in this part of the ship. On top of all that, you can hear the place from a good way away. They're blaring a lot of loud music, but it sounds like the kind of song that Gamzee sings sometimes. Ducking inside the bar, you find that the bar is a unique mishmash of troll and human, not just in the patrons, but in terms of the decor. There's things stuck to the walls here and there that you're pretty sure are relics from Earth and Alternia. As you walk to the bar itself, you notice that the bar as a whole is on average representing an inverse bell curve on the hemospectrum. There's loads of warm-blooded trolls, a small spike in ceruleans, and then just purples. It's not like things are totally better from when your ancestor was around, but it's still a little odd to see a group this diverse without any midtones to balance it out. Odd. You lean on the bar and wait for the barman to notice you. It doesn't take too long for you to get his attention, the older rust-blood lumbering closer with a customer service smile at you.
What can I get you? He asks.
Hi, I know this might be a stretch, but I'm from HR. Don't worry, there's not a problem here or anything.
You amend quickly. We don't have problems here, the barman says simply.
Good, glad to hear it. Did you know Vicari Ratait?
You ask.
Yeah, I did. Poor kid didn't deserve to go out that way. He was in here all the time trying to hang out with the sailors and whatnot, the barman says unhappily. You read his name off his ID real quick. Gamar Isper. How did that go down? You ask, treading the line between tactful and probing. Him dying or him being here? Gamar asks, raising an eyebrow as he does so. Both, you say, and you're certain that somehow, somewhere, Solix must have gotten a tingle up his posture pole. It was a shame when he died. Like I said, he didn't deserve to go that way. We've got a picture of him up on the wall up there. People didn't mind him hanging around. It wasn't like that, he assures you. So, he was well-liked? No grudges with anyone? You check. No, nothing like that. Look, what is this about? He asks, setting his hands on the bar so he can look down at you intensely. Your eyes flicker over his forearm. There's some mark there. A scar or something, but it looks like it's in a design of some kind. Gamar seems to notice you looking and leans forward, one arm crossed over the other on the bar so you can't see his arm. I'm just trying to find out what happened is all, you answer, innocently enough. I'm pretty sure Kuprum is in here somewhere. He was there when it happened. You'd want to talk to him. I think he's out back. Let me see. You stay here, the bartender tells you, and heaves himself away before you can say anything else. The bar seems to meet the back wall and then go further back to what you'd assume is a storeroom of some kind. Why Kuprum, who you know works with Solix and liaises with the sailors, would be back there, you don't know. Suspicion makes the back of your neck tingle, and despite being told to stay where you are, you follow the barman in the direction he left, but on your side of the bar. As you get close to the wall, you can see there's a door there. It's made from the same paneling as the rest of the wall, and with so much visual clutter on both, you could hardly make out the edges, but it's there. Before you get too close to it, your way is suddenly blocked by a tall, purple-blooded troll that you've seen from pictures and videos that Gamzee's taken and sent you over the years. She's friends with him, but you've never met her. You think her name is Chahat. You can't see her ID with how long her hair is and where her horns hang, which is technically against regulations. Your ID should be visible, but you're not going to call her on that right now. Hey, I think I know you. You're Gamzee's little diamond, aren't you? She asks, her body in the way of the door. I am. Hey, can I get back there? You ask, nodding in the direction of the door she's blocking. Back where? Chahat asks, playing dumb. Back through that door you're blocking, you say and point at it. Oh, that's employees only, Chahat shrugs. Really? Gamar just said that Kuprum was back there, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't work here. Also, I'm HR, so technically I work everywhere, you point out. Chahat leans in close to you, and you can feel it, the shadows getting deeper and longer. She's trying to voodoo you as subtly as she can, but you're well aware of how that works. You stand your ground and stare her down. It's not that it's not unnerving you, but you're not backing down. You're pretty sure that if your ancestor could see this situation, he'd approve of the bravery, especially as it's not the death sentence that it would have been in his day. You can almost feel him at your back as you do your best to outshine Chahat's voodoos. She jerks back, and a split second after that, the door behind her opens. Gamar looks at you disapprovingly as he walks back into the bar on his side. Are you going to get your ass out of the way or what? A gravelly voice asks from behind Chahat. She steps back out of the way, and you can see two gold-bloods. One of them is Kuprum, and one you don't know, but she's clearly lost her sight to void rot. You said you wanted to ask about Vakari or some shit like that, is that right? Kuprum asks. Yeah, I have a few questions, you tell him. What are you, a cop? The rather disheveled woman behind Kuprum says as she squints somewhere to the left of where you're standing. No, I work for HR. I'm not a cop. I just need to ask some questions. Can we sit down? You suggest. There are tables at this bar. Fuck the cops, the woman says instead, and Kuprum rolls his eyes at her. You can't just say fuck the cops. What do you have to offer the cops to make them fuck you, huh? Kuprum challenges her. The last time I hinted at romantic attraction to a cop, she hit me in the face with her cane and then licked my eye to taste the failure, so good luck with that, you tell her with a wince at the memory. The blank-eyed troll snorts and doubles over laughing at your misfortune. This is Follicle. She's a gross trash bag of a troll and an embarrassment to trollkind. She's Memorial, Kuprum explains and ignores the way she backhands his chest for his insult to her. You lead the pair to a table and all sit down. You make sure you're not staring at Follicle. Beside it being horribly rude to do so, you're going to guess she has the same attitude to being blind that Terezi does. So, about Vicari. You start, right as the barman comes over with drinks for all of you, despite you not ordering anything. What about him? Cooper asks you back. Let's start off with what he was like. Did he have friends, quadrants, anything? You ask. He was kind of a weirdo, really obsessed with flying. Follicle answers first. It's not... Yeah, you guess, yeah. He was nice. We were gonna be repairing stuff together in the next mission, but we weren't friends or anything. Not that I hated him either. He was, I mean, you know Jake, right? Cooper asks. Yeah, he's my friend's brother, and he's now married to another friend's older brother. I was at the wedding. I know the guy. You nod. He's kind of like him. Like, bright and friendly, didn't shut the fuck up about stuff, but he was fine. No one hated him or anything, but I don't think he had any quads either. Cooper tells you. That's interesting. Did he have any close friends? You ask. If he was like Jake, then there's a chance he could have the same problem with friendships. Almost everyone likes Jake, but Jake has very few friends. It's kind of hard to get to know the real guy. I don't know, we weren't that close. Cooper shrugs. Right. The barman said you were there when Vicari died. Can you tell me what happened? You ask. I wasn't there. I was monitoring his comms, and I got Dave to check in on him. Not much to say. He was there, and then he died. Cooper shrugs. What was he saying, or what did you hear that was so unusual that it made you get Dave involved? You ask. Cooper sighs and hesitates, then, instead of answering, he picks up his drink and takes a long, slow sip from it. You don't need Terezi's detective skills to spot someone stalling. I don't know. He was communicating about what he was doing as you're supposed to, and he just sounded off. I don't really like thinking about it, Cooper says evasively. I can understand that, but what do you mean by he sounded off? Were the comms not working right? You press him. No, that was all fine, Cooper answers. Did he sound like he was high or drunk? Under the influence in any way? You go on. He wouldn't have done that. Follicle scoffs. Okay, but did he sound that way? Other things can cause that. I'm not accusing Vicari of anything here. I just need answers. You insist. It just felt wrong. I had a gut feeling and I was right. Haven't you ever had a gut feeling? Cooper demands, clearly defensive. You look at Cooper across the table and how uncooperative he's suddenly being. You're not looking around the room, but you get the distinct feeling that a fair few people are watching this exchange. You expect me to believe that you sent Dave out there as fast as he could possibly go because you had a non-specific gut feeling? You ask him slowly. I was right. Where do you get off coming in here asking questions about all this shit, huh? It's all over with, and you're not a cop anyway, he snaps at you. Because a man is dead, and you begin to say, but he's apparently not done. And that sucks, and he shouldn't have been out there, I know, but I can't do shit about it now, and we've already got Solix to take his place, so it'll all be fine, and you can get lost. Cooper snaps. You pause. Cooper is sparking from how wound up he is, but him dropping Solix's name right in there got your attention for sure. Solix isn't taking over his job. He's not going outside the ship and repairing things like Vicari did. He's just going on the next mission, and that's if he passes his test. Why would you bring that into this? You ask him with a frown. Fuck off, loser! Cooper snarls at you and marches toward the back of the bar again. Hey, real quick, does Cooper work here? You ask Follicle before she can follow her angry Myrell away. Follicle gives you a genuinely puzzled look and shakes her head. No, what? What kind of stupid question is that? She snorts and walks off. The pair of them go through that partially hidden employees-only door. To say that the atmosphere of the bar has become unwelcoming would be an understatement, so you leave before someone tries to throw you out. It looks like you can write murder off your likely conclusions. It's possible that someone tried to kill him, but given that the worst anyone seems to have to say about Vicari was that he was eager to do his job, it probably wasn't that. No one mentioned any quadrants either, so jealousy as a motive is pretty shaky as well. You'd be wildly remiss not to factor in how clearly suspicious everything back there was. You get the impression that Cooperam was told just who you are and why you were there before he was brought out of that secret back room. But even given that, you don't think they were technically being untrue about Vicari as a person. Instead, the details of his death are just weirdly vague. Whatever they know, they're not telling you. You have no hints as to why Vicari would be deliberately killed, and no indication that he'd take his helmet off on purpose, but even if he had done that, there's no obvious reason he should have been able to. The answers all the sailor types are giving you are shady as all hell, but not incriminating. You've got no suit. It wasn't sent to the Striders. The next place to try would be Porum, then. Poram's primary business is fashion, hand-producing her own garments, but also designing patterns that can be digitally transferred so ships far, far away from here can reproduce her work. However, she does custom-make every personalized spacesuit and all survival gear that the sailors use. There are standard spacesuit sizes that are used in an emergency and are stationed at every airlock, but for anyone who needs them with any regularity, they get custom fit. It makes sense. A poorly fitting spacesuit can be a death sentence, and she prides herself in her fittings. She won't have made all of the mechanical parts of the suit, but the textiles are all her, and if anyone's blaming the suit for Vicari's death, she'll be invested in getting to the truth. The journey to her workshop isn't all that far. She has a boutique in the fancier retail district, but the real work is done here. Stepping through the doorway, you find a good number of trolls hard at work, cutting fabric, pinning things together, sewing. It's a real hub of industry. "Can I help you?" a human woman with long, straight black hair asks. "I'm Carcat Vantis. I'm from HR. I need to speak to Porum," you explain. "We don't have any problems that need HR," the woman drawls and holds her tablet a little closer to her chest, which just happens to show off a cutesy sticker with a sewing needle that reads, "Snitches get stitches." Oh boy, you should probably talk to Porum about whether or not you need to come back here in a professional capacity. "I need to speak to her," you repeat yourself. "Miss Merriam is far too busy to speak to anyone without an appointment, and I know that you do not have an appointment," the woman says in the voice of every popular girl bully who ever existed in shitty teen movies. You stare her down for a moment, but she just stares back. With a sigh and a roll of your eyes, you shoot Porum a message saying you need to see her about a possible problem with some work she did, but you can't get up to her right now because of... "What's your name?" you ask, since she's blocking her ID with her tablet. "Milan," she answers, really stretching the awe in the word. Humans do have naming conventions, although they're baffling to most trolls, even leaving aside how their names are gendered, which isn't a thing for trolls. Carcat is a man's name for you because you're a man and it's your goddamn name. But Rose is pretty much exclusively a female name, although there are some exceptions. Humans have a habit of giving their kids either names of significant religious or mythological figures in their faith, or names that have previously occurred in their family. Or both. Like, take Dave, for example. He told you before that his family has a tradition where the first boy in each generation is named David, or Dave. Apparently his uncle was a Dave, his great-grandfather too. It skipped a generation because they only had girls or something, and obviously that rule didn't technically work out with Dirk and Hal, but it's still a tradition. Then there's humans who are like, "Yes, I shall name my child after a place that no longer exists and I have never been to either." Humans, honestly. You finish your message to Porum saying that Milan won't let you pass, so if she could come rescue you from the situation, that'd be great. With that message done, you shove your palm husk away and wait. "Since you don't have an appointment, you should really leave. Or I can call security," Milan says with a sneer. "Nah, Porum, hi." You nod as you see Porum's office door open and watch her sweep graciously down the steps for you. "Carcat, darling, hi. How unexpected. Milan, you really should have let me know he was here. Come with me," Porum says with a smile as she slides her arm around your shoulder and pulls you away with her as Milan watches in affronted shock. "New assistant?" you ask quietly. "Yes, she's got an excellent memory for patterns and textiles, but I think she watched too many human fashion movies. Very Devil Wears Prada," Porum sighs. It's not like people don't still make movies, TV shows, and books. There's loads of that about, and it's considered important cultural work to do. But for both of your species, there's this traumatic fault line of the before and the after. When you'd been considering going into film instead of HR, you'd been planning your thesis out on tropes in movies before and after that line. Disaster movies are still a thing because escapism and a sense of horror are innate to both of your species, but it was a long time before people felt ready to show or see planetary destruction on film. Post-apocalyptic movies still exist as they did before, but they're less gritty survivalism and the horror of mankind as they were before when zombie movies were a big thing with humans. Now it's about connection and hope, saving what you can. It's fascinating. You know the movie Purim is referencing, and the idea of those fictional but nonetheless realistic to some lives that were portrayed leaves you in a kind of starry-eyed wonder. It all seems so innocent. Even Purim, who lives for her art and her craft, is part of the effort to sustain your species, to keep up the escape from the cataclysmic end chasing you all. But once, there were people whose whole lives were just fashion. Movies from that time period are precious, both historically, but also it's a sense of naivety that you can never get back. So even though those movies are old, they're still watched in pursuit of a kind of pseudo-nostalgia. Honestly, you could go on for days about this, or indeed write that thesis that you dreamt of so much. But, well, you didn't go into film. Not that you don't love your job, you love helping people. People always praised you so much for how good you were with people, how nice it was that you could help. Cankry also said it was a far better use of your time and pointed out that your ancestor died to help people. The least you could do was work to help people and stop someone with less hemo-equitable views from taking the position. Besides which, academia is hard, and you're still not sure what you would have done with your degree if you'd even gone for it. You help people, and you like that. Right now, you have a job to do, even if it's not technically any of the jobs you have waiting for you on your desk. Purim leads you into her office and shuts the door. She gestures for you to take a seat on one side of her desk, and she sits down on the other side. She slides a few empty mugs out of the way and a book of fabric swatches, enough space to set her elbows down and rest her chin in her palms. "What's going on, then?" Purim asks. "You know about Vicari?" you ask as your starting point. "The guy who died recently? Yes, of course." She nods. "I had Menotti from PPEE approach me about his suit. It seems like people are saying his death was a freak accident to do with his suit, but he's not heard anything about that. No one's told him anything or investigated on his end, and he's been getting shut down every time he tries to ask, and I've not had any better luck," you explain. Purim's eyebrows raise at your words, and for a moment she fidgets with her lip ring slightly. "Are they saying it was our fault?" she asks after a moment. "That's the thing, he's not heard anything. Everything's just been hearsay. Have you heard about his suit?" you ask again. "No, not at all. We fitted it for him, of course, same as everyone else with one. We've never had any safety problems escape checks at all. If my work got a man killed, I want to know about it. Surely I would have heard," Purim says with a deep frown on her face. "I'd hope so, but it doesn't seem like it. You guys check them regularly, right?" you ask. You're pretty sure Purim's team are involved. "Not me personally, but yes. For a suit used for external maintenance like that, the wearer runs their own checks before and after each use. Between wears, they're handed in to keep them safe, and someone from Menotti's side checks the tech parts between uses. And every 24 hours of use time, someone here checks the fabric parts since they suffer less stress than machine parts. Hold on." Purim types directly onto her desk display desktop and then projects a window up to you. "See? Vicari's suit was checked a few weeks ago. He should have only had 10 hours of wear since one of my team checked our parts of his suit," she says. "And you haven't seen the suit since then?" you question her, although you suspect that you know the answer. "No. We never see suits when they're decommissioned. Fabric for spacesuits has to be virgin fabric. There is no recycling and seam ripping there. It's airtight. You can't just poke holes in it and redo things. We also don't want to reuse the fabric because if someone's worn it on another planet, it might be safe for people to be there, but who knows what that foreign contaminant will do to the recycling process. I'm sure Menotti's team probably melt and reuse the metal parts, but not fabric. But regardless, I would have thought it'd be with whoever investigated the death, internal investigations most likely. Sorry," she says. You sigh and slump in your seat, all while Purim regards you with concern. "You don't think it was an accident?" she says quietly. I don't know what it was. No one seems to have a bad thing to say about him. Just, he was keen about space and friendly to people. I don't think anyone murdered him, but it doesn't make sense that he both would choose to take his helmet off out there, or that he could even do that. And I know that's what happened, because Solix heard him die, you say wearily. I hadn't heard about that, she says, clearly even more in the dark than you were. Yeah, keep it to yourself, though. I can't get any straight answers on this, and this smacks way more of people hiding something than just a form not being sent on to the right people, which was what I thought this was at first. All of that means I have to go have a conversation that I really don't want to have. Thanks for talking to me, Porum. You sigh and get to your feet. What conversation are you going to have? She asks warily. I'm gonna have to ask Nepeta if her people are covering up the circumstances of a man's death. You tell her grimly. Porum looks pretty horrified for you, which is understandable. You're horrified for you. Technically speaking, you shouldn't be able to get to where Nepeta is. You need authorization. In order to get authorization, you need a good reason to be here, which you don't technically have. However, Nepeta's office and the war rooms are through the same security checkpoints as Disciples' Place, and the staff there are more than used to seeing you and waving you through without a second thought. In their defense, you're not normally the type to bend rules quite this much. As it is, you knock on the door to Nepeta's office and then enter without pausing. You do make an effort to avert your eyes from whatever planetary information is currently being projected above the table that Nepeta and Polytha are facing. In fairness, even if you did care about whatever planet that is, you lack the skills and knowledge to say anything more interesting than, "That sure is a planet." Nepeta dismisses the projection in a hurry and scowls at you. "Karkat, you can't be here!" she insists. "I know, but I need to talk to you privately. It's urgent," you say. Nepeta flounders for a moment, exchanging a look with a clearly unimpressed Polytha. Eventually, she seems to decide in your favor as Nepeta grabs you by the arm and pulls you out of the room, across the hall and into a vacant meeting room. "This had really better be important," Nepeta tells you. She missed the chance to stress the paw sound in that. She must be annoyed. "This is about Vicari," you say simply. "That's not any of your business, not to mention a closed case that you don't have clearance to be poking around in anyway. I wanted to not believe all this I'd heard about you asking people questions about him," Nepeta says with a frown. The fact that people are reporting back to her about that definitely puts another tally in the cover-up theory. "The head of PPEE came to me. As far as he knows, his tech somehow killed Vicari, and he's heard nothing to the contrary. It's driving him crazy, and I don't blame him. He's not seen the suit or got any report on it, and no one I've talked to can come up with an answer for why Vicari died in the first place. If his suit was faulty, that's one thing, and Monodi needs to know about that, but it still doesn't explain why Vicari took his helmet off," you tell her. "And who told you he did that?" Nepeta challenges you. "Right, that's not information that is officially out. 2 different sources that I trust. I'm not saying that you have to put all this in the news or anything, but if there's a fault in the suits, that's kind of the thing that needs to be shared with the right people," you insist, waving over Solix and Dave as your sources there. "Everything is dealt with. This is a closed case," Nepeta says flatly. "But the people who made his suit know nothing about how Vicari died, and this whole case is weird as shit," you argue. "I didn't ask for your opinion on the case. A case which is closed. You need to leave," Nepeta says, and moves to put her arm around your back to usher you out. You dodge out of her way so she can't move you. "I'm not leaving until I get the answers that Monodi needs. What was it? The suit failed and Psyche dropped the ball in assessing him? Did he sabotage his own suit and Psyche missed that? Did something happen to his suit that made him hallucinate and someone else sabotaged his suit? What? None of this adds up. I need answers," you snap. "This is above you, Karkat. We're friends and my ancestor cares about you, but I still outrank you here and you need to leave," Nepeta hisses. "No, how about this? Either you release the information about how Vicari died to me and Monodi, or I'll demand a public inquiry into his death. One that calls into question the safety and integrity of all the suits here, since you won't tell me what the problem is. You can kiss your mission window goodbye. If there's nothing to hide, why are you being like this?" you ask as calmly as you can. "You wouldn't," Nepeta breathes. You think I'm willing to risk the life of my Moirail, of my friends, of you on that mission if I think there's some critical failure with the suits, or someone running around sabotaging them? You think I'll let that happen? You retort. Nepeta's stare pins you in place, but you can't back down. Solix was right. Something is off here, and you're not willing to see people die if it's something bad. You're not willing to let her risk people's lives for some resources from some rock that you can get at basically any planet you pass by. There's nothing special about this next planet. You know Nepeta, or you think you do at least. She wouldn't risk lives like that for no good reason. Minody and whoever at PPEE should have been told whatever they needed to know. If they haven't, I will see what I can send them. Nepeta says quietly, her expression still steely. That's all I wanted. That's all he wants. You tell her. Good. Now get out. Nepeta orders you. It's not a request, and you've pushed your luck enough. You leave before you're thrown out and return to your office. Your thoughts weigh heavy on your mind, as well as the burdensome thought that you might have damaged your relationship with Nepeta. When you get back, you shoot Minody an email to tell him that hopefully he should hear something soon, and then bury yourself in the work that you probably should have spent the afternoon doing. You send Gamzee a message to let him know that you're working late, and to not worry about waiting for you or bringing you dinner back. You'll sort yourself out. Several hours past your shift, Minody sends you a message to let you know that he got the report back and everything is fine. He's exceedingly grateful, and goes on for an embarrassing length of time about how his mate Sprit had said that you were good, but he hadn't truly believed her, and how thankful he is that you took him seriously. So, when you ask him to send you the report too, he forwards it without question. You lean back in your chair and read the report. Vicari died from asphyxiation due to being exposed to space. You already knew that. There was a faulty part in his suit that was leaking carbon monoxide. This led to delusions in him mistakenly removing his helmet. They suggest that repeated exposure to the carbon monoxide led to him inadvertently damaging his suit and failing to check in properly. The carbon monoxide poisoning was so acute that it caused his death between checks. There are no other parts from that batch of respirators on the ship, and the ship's staff are already in a consultation process to decide how best to stop this happening in the future. The final verdict is that it is a tragic, one-off freak accident that was no one's fault, and the details have been kept quiet to avoid besmirching the reputation of Vicari as a careless sailor or inadvertently implying that this was his fault. How convenient. You switch everything off in your office and leave. Instead of taking the train back home, though, you instead get on the line to Solix and the Strider's Hive. You knock on the door, and it's Dave who answers, his hair still wet and his white shirt sticking to him a little. Hey, Carcat, are you here to... Dave falters as sudden screams from the background interrupt him. No! No! Hal yells, half clambered onto the arm of the lounge plank as he desperately mashes buttons on his controller. On the other side of the lounge plank, Solix is perfectly still aside from his fingers flying over the buttons. His eyes are narrowed behind his glasses as whatever intense digital confrontation is happening goes down. He's got a towel slung around his shoulders, and he's so focused that he doesn't even blink as water drips off of his hair and onto his glasses. Are you here to watch the nerd showdown? Dave continues. Not exactly, you say as Dave steps back and lets you follow him into the hive. You're not winning this, Solix says in a slightly detached voice as he jams the buttons on his controller. Suck my dick. No! Hal slumps back in defeat as the console declares Solix the winner. Let Solix move in, you said. It'll be fun, you said. There's way more nerdy yelling now than when Rose lived here, though fewer psychological attacks and unsettling insinuations, Dave says flatly. I can ask Rose to coach me if you want, Solix offers with a smug little grin. Nah, man, the relationship where I school you as shit is just fine. You can't just go around getting other Striders to school you, Dave retorts. Certainly not Hal, Solix snickers. I will have my revenge, Hal grumbles. Well, can I borrow Solix so you can plot your revenge in peace? You ask. Solix's eyebrows raise in surprise. It's pretty weird for you to demand to have a conversation with him in private, especially not without telling him in advance. Sure. Hey, Dave, continue crushing Hal until I get back, Solix says, and tosses Dave his controller. Please, like that'll happen. Hal smirks at Dave, who suddenly seems to be taking this task seriously. You wince a little bit for Solix as he gets up in clear and obvious pain. Ow! Ow! He hisses. Gotta keep moving or you'll seize up. Keep stretching, too, Dave advises him and steals Solix's newly vacated seat. Yeah, come on. Solix leads the way to his new room, though he's clearly stiff and sore. Has Dave been pushing you too hard? You ask worriedly as you close the door behind you. I hurt in places I didn't know I had, but it's fine. What's up? You seem pretty intense, Solix asks as he looks you over. I need your help, and I'm serious that this needs to stay between us. I don't want you telling anyone about this, promise? You ask. Solix is looking at you, wide-eyed and worried. He still nods immediately, agreeing without hesitation. Anything. What's wrong? I'm getting really worried here. Did something happen? Solix asks. Yeah, kind of, you say, and rub your neck. Karkat, if it's this important, you know I'm not going to give you shit or judge you or fly off the handle, Solix assures you. You have a horrible feeling that he thinks this might be Gamzee related. You know the thing with Vikari? Can you tell me again what you heard? You ask him carefully, and he seems surprised at that question. Sure. I heard him thinking about taking his helmet off. He was thinking weird shit about space and wanting to be out there or something. He wasn't scared. Even when he was dying, he wasn't. He saw Dave coming for him, but there's no way Dave was going to get there in time. Solix answers you. Did he sound high or drunk? Were his thoughts off like that? You press him. Kind of. I don't have a lot of experience hearing people die and knowing if they were drunk or out of their minds on drugs, but generally people think, it's not exactly like how they talk, but you get what I mean. His thoughts were weird as shit, and he was clearly not in touch with reality. A normal person has their helmet come off and they'd lose it in panic, but he didn't. I know he wasn't high or on drugs, though. I saw his autopsy report, Solix says. And there it is. You have one question left to ask. Was he poisoned by carbon monoxide? You ask. Nope. Aside from spacing himself, there was nothing wrong with the guy. Even his psych reports were clean as anything, Solix says with a shake of his head. Yeah, well, I got involved in investigating this today, and people have been shady as shit. I had to threaten Nepeta to get her to send this report to the people who made his suit. I don't think I was supposed to see it, but you definitely didn't see this, you say, and hand your tablet to him. Didn't see a thing, Solix says as he takes it. The frown on his face deepens as he reads the report through, and finally he looks up from it to stare at you. This is complete hoofbee shit. It completely contradicts the autopsy, and somehow this is no one's fault, so everyone please stop asking? No way in hell, Solix hisses. Right, that's what I thought, but you shouldn't have seen that autopsy report, and I can't show this to you. I sure as shit can't stop the mission, because as far as I can prove, everything is fine, you say miserably. This whole situation is frustrating as all hell. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it, and honestly, you don't understand what could really be going on here. The whole case makes no sense at all. Solix hands you your tablet back and smiles at you. Then you need more proof. Proof we can both actually stand behind and not shit I hacked my way into and got caught. The mission's going to go ahead, and you can bet I'm going to be checking my stuff carefully, but I'm more than happy to be your inside man. No one's going to talk to you, but if I pass this physical test, then I'll be one of them, Solix says conspiratorially. Yeah, that sounds like a plan, you say slowly. Solix grins at you, a competitive spark alight in his eyes, and you know he's pleased to have you with him on Team Conspiracy. You were supposed to be the voice of reason here, but it's not your fault that it seems like he was right for once. Whatever is going on, you're not going to be left in the dark. You're going to drag whatever this is into the light, so you can see it for what it really is.